Welcome to Mint. We're at the Luxury Summit and we're talking to Ashok Som, the Assistant Dean at the ESSEC Business School in France. Dr. Som, we understand you're doing something on the logic of luxury in emerging markets. Could you kind of elaborate on that?
There are brands which have been built in Europe for a very considerable period of time, and the evolution of luxury brands is a very interesting story. The evolution brings in a type of path dependency where small families try to make something which they believed in and which they were good at. Like, for example, let's say jewelry, they were good at making jewelry, so some of them gathered together and started small shops in Place Vendôme, which is in Paris, central Paris, and that is how the jewelry industry was created. For example, Cartier, for example, Van Cleef & Arpels, that was how it was created. Similarly, some people worked on leather. They wanted boxes to be transferred from one place to another. That is how LV started creating goods for boxes. Then some guys thought that, okay, why not some things for horses, because horse was a very important way of transporting oneself from one place to another in the olden days. So that is how Hermes was created. So at this present point of time, two countries hold 95% of the luxury goods as we see it. If we do not extend it to retail, means houses, apartments, let's say private jets, if we do not go that side, automobiles, the main luxury market is basically of five main divisions. First is watches and jewelry, then leather and accessories, then perfume and cosmetics, then wine and champagne, and then selective retail. Selective retail means Sephora, which just came to India. So these are the five main sectors. Now the important question is, before they were very happy they were what they were doing, but then there's a guy who came to the scene 20 years, 25 years before, called Bernard Arnault, who made an industry out of this small family-owned, what we call as houses or maisons. So when he started acquiring, he acquired 60 brands, and then he made this huge group called LVMH, which hosts 60 important brands. And he made a business which is global. Now, being a professor of international business and strategy, I'm trying to understand one question which was already asked today, was the country of origin effect. And the other question is, all the brands are from two countries, but today the market is not in the two countries. So if we see a brand or if we see a product, the product is more than 30 to 40% at least, I think, is sourced from other places. It is made, parts of it, in other places, and then finally made in the country of origin, which is France and Italy. The design is of course there, and then 90% is sold outside France and Italy, and out of that 60% is in Asia, which means that the logic is not anymore the same. The logic is, I have a product which I sell outside, and I also source outside, but then I am confident enough to charge such a premium to every market. So, which is an interesting logic, because then what is my value added at this point of time?
Right.
I have only the design, I have the brand power, and I have more or less the marketing power. That's it. It's more like the story, but it's not a luxury story, but it's a story about Nike. What has Nike have? Nike have today, it has brand, it has design, and it has 150 people who manages
But
Nike
is
brand.
far more practical than...
Yes, but then Nike outsources everything.
Right.
And sells all over the world. Right. So today the model is not exactly like Nike, but the logic is different, because you won't buy a luxury good if it is not made in France or not made in Italy. But you see the logic,
right.
But 50% of it is sourced from these countries.
Exactly. So then actually that makes sense. In India, there are plenty of these family businesses, especially jewelry, especially textiles, cloth, retail, if I call it family retail. But as you said, in these small little shops in France, small little workshops, and in India that is there. You have your Indian brands, but those haven't really got to that level of, while they are luxury brands, they're still luxury brands, but they're still not comparable.
So in international business, it's called country of origin effect, which
Right.
means that if you buy, if you let's say build and source an important let's say silk from very fine silk, or let's say there's something which is very expensive, chatouche,
Right. Yes.
which
Yes.
is if you source that and you sell it abroad, you can ask for a premium price, right?
But that is
But
because
as soon as the
it's a
question
rare
is
quality.
yes,
That's a
it's
rarity.
rarity.
It's a rarity.
But as soon as you say that it's produced from China, you cannot ask the premium price.
So is there a negative persona to Indian or Chinese product?
It's not negative persona, it's how the country was perceived in the last 200 years. Because in China, they have made themselves more or less as a manufacturer of the world. India is still trying to position itself between agriculture and services. The manufacturing is still we have taken a leap from agricultural services because of the information technology, ITES services.
Right.
So now the question is, how can luxury brands think of a way to differentiate themselves with which they were very good at, which is the branding part, but now the business has shifted from their own country to other countries. So if today, let's say, for example, for the sake of the discussion that we had with the mousetrap, if we say that stop, India, China stops production, selling, and luxury goods buying, Europe and Italy has no way to survive.
So then that actually says, so then why not, since you're saying that, I think inside you said about 50% of the products are sourced from here, the raw material is sourced from here. We've got the manpower, we've got the innovators, we've got, as in India, has the innovators and so on and so forth. But all that really needed is to build that brand.
Yes.
But what's stopping, what is not stopping, why is it not
yes,
happening?
What's stopping
I'm sure
was,
it's been happening for
what's
the last
stopping is,
couple of decades.
there are three things that stops us, I think, from my point of view. I have discussed this with three main groups. One is the Tata Group, one is a group called Ganjam, which is into jewelry, which wants to be high-end, and the other one is the Leela Palace. So the interesting part is, today in India, we are in a mode where we are very short-term oriented. We do not see medium term or do not see long term, which countries like Italy and France, because they were stable, because they're rich, could see. So no company is today looking at, very few company itself, but that is a discussion we can have later on, are looking at short term. So basically, if I say that you need 10 years of investment for brand building, and 10 years, within that 10 years, you have to prove yourself that you are a brand to reckon with in the country. And then you can go abroad. No one is willing to spend that time.
Right.
And the bandwidth. Because what I am looking at is every quarter sales if I am a listed company. So Titan is looking at how can I sell more watches and more jewelry within this period of time rather than invest.
Build an inherent value.
But they have tried and failed 4 times. They have Swiss watches which they have bought, but still they can't say that they are a luxury brand. Those brands you don't even hear about. But luxury Tatas have brought 4 brands of Swiss watches.